What is the problem?
The mere fact that many of the opposition groups boycotted the process and the process was allowed to go ahead, there was no need for the process to go ahead. They should have sat down again in the spirit that they have shown before, South and North discussing and so on, and found a way forward together. That would have been the best. Now that these parties are boycotted, there now appears to be a problem of lack of inclusivity.
Right.
Now, that must be addressed not through dictatorship in any way.
Well, if I could bring Roshan in. Roshan, what's the feeling about those parties that did boycott the whole process? I mean, what is the next step forward for them in order not to be totally marginalized?
Well, I think a lot of ordinary Sudanese people, I mean, I've only been in the country not a very long time, but talking to ordinary people, taxi drivers, people on the street, I think that they believe that even if these elections were 100% free and fair and all the opposition parties had participated, Omar Hassan al-Bashir would still have won, because a lot of people, especially from the poorer elements of society, credit him with developing the nation. And also, just a few days ago, I believe, an opposition spokesman extended an olive branch to those opposition parties, offering them a chance to participate in a government of national unity if President Bashir wins the elections. The opposition parties themselves, I'm not sure how much support they have on the ground. My guess is probably not as much support as Bashir has. But I think they do want to take part in the electoral process. There doesn't seem to be a huge personal animosity between the different political parties here, even though there are genuine political differences. Right. So I think most people think that, the peace process remains on track.
Okay. I think the problem is, it's not whether President al-Bashir would win the elections. That happens. That's what democracy is about. If you have the most of support, you win. But the biggest test and challenge in a democratic dispensation, which Sudan is trying to go to, is how you actually treat the minority voices. Because you cannot think that, well, because Bashir will have a lot of this support, we will win anyway, and you therefore try to disregard those minority voices. But in any situation, we have seen in Sudan, we've seen in Darfur, these small groups are the ones that go and start fighting and can destabilize the whole situation. So what one is saying is that it's not about arguing or debating here. President al-Bashir, if he says he has won, he needs to still sit with all these groups and try to look for a way forward. Merely inviting them to take part in government is not enough.
Yes.
If they decide, for example, all of them, that, look, what do we do in terms of democratic processes, whether it means redoing the elections, I don't know how costly, of course, that is. They need to listen, they need to talk. Otherwise, Sudan will be in this cycle of bloodshed, circle of instability that we've seen in Darfur, we've seen in North-South.
Well, how valid is the concern, Mr. AlMubarak, of lack of trust of the NCP leader AlMubarak, because he came to power through a military coup? There's a concern that a pattern will repeat, very similar to what happens in Nigeria on a regular basis.
This is highly unlikely. First, when people talk of boycott, only the Ummah party, the main party which boycotted, the Ummah party, the Communist Party, is very insignificant as far as the people are concerned.
Yes.
Well, but that's
among the intellectuals.
Don't disregard.
Please excuse me, I have
voices.
not interrupted you. Please let me say what I would like to say. Only the Ummah party is effective. The SPLM, which is controlling the South, did not boycott. The National Unionist Party, which is the other major party in the north, did not boycott, and all the others, no other party boycotted. So we are talking about one major party, which is the Ummah party. If you say that whoever boycotts has got a veto on the political process, that would be unfair on the political process. Also, if you delay, you have the referendum in January 2011, and you don't want a constitutional vacuum. You don't want a constitutional vacuum. An elected government has got to organize the referendum for the referendum to be valid and credible. That's why...
Well, let me go to Roshan and try and find out from Roshan. Roshan, have you had an opportunity to hear the voice of the opposition that a lot of the international media are talking about? What are their concerns as far as you can glean?
Yes, definitely. I mean, Sudan at the moment is experiencing an unprecedented era of openness during these elections. The concern is that the ruling party will shut down the paper, not shut down, but shut down the openness after the elections. And we've gone to many opposition press conferences. Sadiq al-Mahdi's Ummah Party was one of the early ones we went to, and he was complaining of voter intimidation. He was saying the whole election was rigged, and that, you know, basically he couldn't get funds to mount an effective political campaign, and that's why he pulled out of the elections. And ultimately, you know, he didn't feel as though he could get a fair crack at the whip, and that's why he pulled out. And those concerns have been mirrored by the SPLM and the Communist Party specifically.
Right.